Not many young kindred have heard of the Daughters of Cacophony, but stories of undead singers extraordinaire are occasionally told in Elysia by those who claim to have met one. A rumored bloodline, although rumor mongers cannot agree whether of Clan Malkavian, Toreador, or another, the legendary sirens can allegedly sway and hurt using their voice alone, capable of shattering much more than glass. Any appearance of a particularly vocally talented kindred of any gender, as daughters is but a title, in the domain may spark gossip, and a few kindred fear the legend enough to act preemptively on such news, turning rumor into danger for the alleged siren. Some do not believe in daughters' existence, while others successfully pretend to be one, despite their sires knowing nothing of such connection. Greetings, kindred. I am Wayward Maquette, and welcome back to our World of Darkness and another episode of Metaplot Monday. And today we're going over the Stories of the Daughters lore sheet that is actually found on the website for World of Darkness. So worldofdarkness.com. You can go on there, you can download this lore sheet for you, and it brings the Daughters of Cacophony into your game in a way. I'm not 100% fully happy with this lore sheet. I would actually love to have a follow-up lore sheet called The Truth of the Daughters, if not The Stories of the Daughters, because this does handle some very fun things. But most of it has to do with fake daughters or rumored daughters. Not to mention the daughters being a title and can work for any gender. Yes, I can also see that, but the male members of this group actually did have their own name for a while. They were called the Sons of Discord, and they were mercilessly hunted down by the Daughters of Cacophony. There's a lot of really fun stories in this in the older books. Specifically, I got most of my information from Laws of the Night, 2nd edition revised, underneath their Bloodline section, and just a tiny little section in that Bloodline section talked about the Sons of Discord as well. The Daughters of Cacophony were something to be feared, because not only did they have things like the missing voice and the ability to just enchant people with their own voices, they also had this terrifying power called Death in the Drum, which could literally explode internal organs inside your body. They were terrifying. They were also politically neutral. They didn't care who was in charge of an area as long as they were given permission to perform. So the fact that they're considered dangerous and scary and things like that, I can see, but also most people just did not care. The Daughters of Cacophony didn't really seem to be that mysterious of a bloodline and rumored to not exist in the older systems, but they were very rare. So let's go ahead and hop into this and see exactly what Stories of the Daughters gives us. Investing one trait into this lore sheet gets you Aspiring Idol. Perhaps you trained your voice daily before your embrace, and find the nightly routine a practice that helps you maintain some connection to your mortal past. Or maybe you're just naturally gifted with a pleasant voice, and you like the sound of it. Receive 2 additional dice on any roll involving singing. But if you fail, suffer an immediate compulsion for the shame you brought on yourself. I gotta say I like that one. It gives you, a couple traits up when dealing with singing tests. You can use this as performance to try to entertain those in Elysium. You can use this on humans. There's really nothing massively supernatural about it, but if you bomb, suffering from a compulsion can be bad, especially since this does not say what clan you are actually a part of. It does not give that. In fact, the bloodline in the old systems didn't actually say what clan they were from. There was rumor that they were Malkavian, that they were Toreador, that they were Ventru, even that they might be considered Bali. So yeah, there's lots of different things that could come up with this depending on what clan you are. and suffering from a compulsion can be something that really is that bad. A musically inclined Bruja who suddenly feels the urge to rebel against any type of authority might end up attacking the bar owner because they say something bad about their performance. There's lots of different things that could happen on this. Investing 2 traits into this lore sheet gets you surprise performance. The talent lies dormant within you and comes to light in the most unexpected moments. Once per story, receive 2 extra successes on a roll involving public speaking. This can be done after the roll has been made and can be paired with using presence. That's kind of nuts. The idea that once per story, so keep in mind that's a story arc, not night. Once in a story night, you can make it so that you get 2 successes, but it's also after you can use this after you've already rolled the test. So if you failed, you can just go, saving this for later, or you can go ahead and tack that on there to get extra benefits for winning and having a higher margin. The fact that this can be used with presence, I mean, it makes a lot of sense, but it also makes it kind of scary. Investing 3 traits into this lore sheet gets you Wayward Daughter. You've heard about Daughters of Cacophony, and whatever you've heard, you've turned into your identity. You successfully, so far, pretend to be a daughter in the domain you reside in. You've also convinced the local kindred society to treat you like a big deal. Though some individuals may argue, this comes with benefits. Receive 4 dots to distribute among status, herd, and mala. However, someone, like your sire, knows your secrets and might use it against you if you give them reason. Once this happens, lose your gained advantages and gain the flaw suspect among the faction you're most acquainted with. This kind of puts it out there that there could just be a bunch of fakes claiming to be part of this bloodline. And if this bloodline is considered dangerous and scary, why would you want to pretend to be it? I don't know. I like the benefits of this, being able to get 4 dots to split up in those background areas. Status, herd, mala, those are all wonderful things to have, but I don't know. Claiming to be a daughter of Cacophony in the way that they're presenting them here just doesn't seem like the smartest thing. Obviously, you can do whatever you want in your stories, but I just don't see the full-flown benefit of this, especially if they're saying that you have someone who's mildly resentful of it. Somebody who might use your secret against you in some fashion and get you the suspect flaw. I don't know. I don't know. I don't really have anything else to say about this other than I'm not that big of a fan of this one. Investing 4 traits into this lore sheet gets you Songstress Supreme. Maybe the vitae of the daughters really does flow in your undead veins. Or maybe you're just exceptionally talented. Regardless of the source, the beauty and power of your voice surpasses most mortal singers. Gain 4 additional dice to any vocal performance. But your talent has earned you somewhat unwanted fans. Gain the stalker's flaw and a single powerful adversary who feels either jealous or possessive of you. Songstress Supreme is a lot of fun because it kind of like goes towards the direction that the Daughters of Cacophony could be a thing. And the way that it seems, and if you're going by what they do in V5, if you're going specifically through 5th edition Vampire the Masquerade, I would say make the Daughters of Cacophony a cult. Make it a cult that is primarily Toreador, maybe some Malkavians, maybe some Ventru, and make the powers of Melpomene and Missing Voice or Throne Voice or whatever they were, make the voice powers part of that cult practice. I don't think that they should like specifically make it so only those characters have it, but make it so that specifically those characters have it. The way that this works, though, is just a lot of fun, because not only you're gaining that wonderful amount of a dice for vocal performances, but you gain stalkers and somebody who really, really hates you. This really, maybe that's somebody that you've shown up. Perhaps there was some kind of performance contest at an Elysium where the Toreador were all standing up and doing stuff, and then you get up and blow them all away. That could make enemies. And I think that this background, this lore sheet level Songstress Supreme really does show that in a good way. So I'm a fan of that. Investing 5 traits into this lore sheet gets you Rejuvenating Voice. Your voice is almost supernaturally soothing. Gain 2 additional dice to your non-intimidation presence rolls, as well using Quell the Beast or Obeya. Additionally, once per story, you can restore 3 levels of superficial willpower damage to anyone capable of hearing your voice. This performance must last for 1 scene. If interrupted, all listeners suffer 1 point of superficial willpower damage. This is actually really cool. I like this one a lot because of what it presents. The idea of also using Rejuvenating Voice when using Quell the Beast, which is a level of animalism, is a lot of fun. I love the concept of using this partnered with animalism. But once per story, you can restore 3 levels of superficial willpower damage. And as long as you're not interrupted, which makes everybody take more willpower damage, is a lot of, that's very interesting. When I first read this, of course, I printed out and I see the names of things before I actually read like what they all did. When I saw Rejuvenating Voice, I thought, oh my gosh, is this going to be like in Bloodline or in Blood Hunt, where like the Toreador is able to like cause you to heal faster? But I do like the idea that you can, in extenuating circumstances, once per story arc, make it so that you can return their willpower, because we've had plenty of situations where willpower has just gotten down very low, and I can see the usefulness in this. So that is the stories of the daughters. And where I'm not 100% happy with this lore sheet, I don't have to use it, but I would also not stop any of my players from using it if they chose to incorporate that into their character. I think this really does point to the idea that the Daughters of Cacophony were a cult or a guild or an organization in the Victorian ages, because that's when they were supposed to have come around. And maybe it's just a group of vampires that got together and decided that presence and performance were the way to go to get through social standings. And now it's just kind of like a Hellfire Club, Illuminati kind of situation where like they're not really in existence anymore, but like perhaps, as some of them says, you might still have a little bit of that in your blood from your sire or your sire's sire. Who knows what practices the Daughters of Cacophony and the Sons of Discord had behind those closed doors in their guild room. Who knows? But that's just me going on about my own personal headcanon about how stuff works. Personally, I actually enjoy the way that V5 runs with its bloodlines, and how they have made it so that like the concept of the bloodlines don't really hold sway anymore in the same fashion. That it's more like specialty sections of the clans, not just strange anomalies that pop up from time to time, such as the Daughters of Cacophony. I am Voivode Maquette. Thank you very much for joining me in this look of the lore sheet stories of the Daughters, which I will again say can be found on worldofdarkness.com. So if you do not have it and you do want it, it is free. Go to the website, print it out. Thank you very much for joining me. Good evening.